How are you guys today? It's good to see you. Hey, Renos. Hey, Peter, Roxanne, Jody. Awesome that you guys could join me today. I'm really excited about it. It is another absolutely spectacular day here on the East Coast of the United States, and I'm really excited to be with you here today. As you know, I'm trying to go live much more often. I'm going to be going live tomorrow, too. And I also, and this is a biggie, I posted my first video today in like 4.5 months because I had to go on pause with my YouTube videos because I was developing my first course. And so I was developing Brand Strategy 101, and between my clients and my YouTube and my podcast and my newsletter, I just could not really keep up. And so I had to put YouTube on pause. And I'd been doing a video a week for over 5 years, and it was stressful just making that decision just to put that on pause. But I am back in black, and I'm really excited because I posted a new video today on 10 things you gotta have in a design contract. So if you haven't checked out that video, you should definitely check it out. And I've got videos coming out weekly for the foreseeable future. So I am back. And my newsletter is also back. So the Brand Muse, which is my bi-weekly newsletter, is also back. And I'm rocking again. So I'm really glad that you guys joined me. I'm going to be talking about a unicorn skill today. And I wanted to kind of give you a heads up to what I think is one of the most overlooked but most important skill sets that designers really have to have these days. And it's one that we all have had to a certain extent, but we all need to nurture. And so I'm going to jump right in. Well, how are you guys doing? Is everyone good? Is it nice weather where you are? From Jamaica. Also, Roxanne, man, I wish I was in Jamaica right now. That would be awesome. I need to go scuba diving. I'm a big scuba diver, and I haven't been scuba diving in over 1.5 years now, and it is killing me. It is killing me. So anyway, that would be great. All right, you guys, let's talk about unicorn skills. It's kind of weird because my video on Ecamm Live is just slightly delayed, which it never usually is, so it's kind of odd. Give me a thumbs up if everything is coming through all right, audio-wise, video-wise for you guys, because I never usually get a lag like this, so it's a little disconcerting. But here, I gotta adjust my volume just slightly. All right. Okay, you guys ready to do this? Hey, Daniel. Hey, Kaya. Good to see you guys. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about unicorn skills. All right, a lot of you guys probably here are creative professionals, right? So, or entrepreneurs with your own businesses, freelancers, you work in-house at a corporation, or maybe you work at an agency. As creatives, it's very easy for us to focus entirely on our creative output, skills, focus, aesthetics, and to hide behind our hair, behind design, and to think that only our design skills and only our aesthetic skills are what's going to carry us through. And the reality is, in today's world, you need a broader range of skills, but there's one skill in particular that is really super important. And that skill is copywriting, writing. The unicorn skill of graphic designers, creative professionals is writing. So much relies on writing. I just recently finished up doing my first course, Brand Strategy 101. And in that course, as I was teaching that course and going through all of the modules of the course, and really dig into how you develop strategy, etc. It became super, I mean, it's always been apparent to me, but as I was teaching others this week after week, it became so critical and obvious to me that copywriting and the ability to really capture nuances in copy was incredibly important to strategy And then as you think about business as a whole, it's also incredibly important. And so, like for instance, in the advertising industry, writers and designers have always been paired with each other. In some cases, designers and writers spend their whole careers with each other and move from agency to agency together. In the old Mad Men days, you can remember it when you were looking at Mad Men, that the copywriters and the creatives were always paired with each other. If you can develop just a little bit of a unification of those two skills inside of yourself, you are going to go very far. You are going to become a unicorn. I would say the top 3 skills that designers really need outside of creative, apart from copywriting, are financial skills, business acumen skills, and leadership skills. But underneath all of that, to develop all of those things, you really need to be able to write well. And so one of the things, and just a little heads up, when I go live in the next couple days, I'm going to be sharing 7 things they don't teach you in design school, and that's also going to be a really good live. So if you haven't subscribed and hit that notifications bell here on my channel, please do that so you can get notified when I go live. Because when I go live and talk about that, that's going to be awesome. All right. So one of the things that you have to know is that when designers write, well, what do designers have to write? What do creatives have to write? What is this preview mode thing? I gotta click a button and I hope nothing goes wrong. I don't know. No, back to live mode. All right, never mind. Ecamm Live's changed something and it's obviously creating just a tiny bit of lag here. So creatives, we write tons of stuff. We write presentation decks when we present our work to clients. We have to write pitches. We have to write proposals describing phases of work and deliverables and processes. We have to write reports out to our superiors. We have to, or the people who report to us if we work in an agency or in-house. We all have to write emails day in and day out, obviously. If you're managing people, you might have to write performance reviews. If you are working with clients, you might have to write creative briefs or rewrite their creative briefs for your teams. As I said, when I was teaching Brand Strategy 101, it became super apparent to me how critical copywriting and writing is to the strategic process. So in design, in strategic design, writing is also very important. When you come to describing customer avatars, that articulating the nuances of a customer, that takes a lot of copywriting. So we as creatives don't just push a mouse. We don't just do design. We don't just like slave away on the Wacom tablet with Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign, right? We do a tremendous amount of communication, and so much of that is based in copywriting. So let me move ahead here. Some designers these days are very uncomfortable, particularly the younger generation, I hate to say it, are uncomfortable on the phone. They are much more comfortable texting or direct messaging, using Slack, and they can be, and I'm not just talking about young people, uncomfortable writing longer emails. And there's a level of, on the whole, communication anxiety that I think has been building in the professional world for a while. People are starting to get really anxious about communicating. I don't know why that is, but one of the reasons why I think it is because writing has kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of being highlighted as important to professionals. When you write bad emails, when you have grammar mistakes, when you don't communicate your ideas well, you don't articulate your ideas well in writing, when you're applying for a job, when you're writing your superior, when you're writing a client, that is a huge red flag. If there is one of the biggest red flags when it comes to communicating, it's not writing well and making mistakes in writing, because it illustrates very clearly your level of education and your level of attention to detail. And when you're a designer or any kind of service provider, your attention to detail is important. And so making sure that you don't write incomplete sentences, or you don't use grammar poorly, or you have a lot of mistakes in sentence structure, those sort of things are red flags. And so you want to make sure that you don't have those things. And the other thing about writing in terms of its relationship to design and branding is that branding is all about story, right? It's about the narrative. You have to tell a story with your designs, and many times you have to tell a story through words to support those designs. Story equals narrative. It is one of the cornerstones of presenting design work. Narrative, of course, can be visual, which you do through your design, but narrative in writing is also critical. Capturing ideas is capturing attention. And we know in our business and design, capturing attention is everything. So being able to capture those ideas in writing and communicate those well is critical to what we do. Learning to articulate what you do. One of the things that I always coach younger designers about is when it comes to their design work, being able to articulate in writing what your work is about, who it's for, what its purpose is, how it's going to transform the viewer. When you're presenting in a pitch presentation deck, or when you're presenting in person to a superior, to a client, being able to verbally articulate what it is that what you're trying to get across with your work can be the difference between having the work be accepted or not. I have seen many of design presentation go very well because the person who is presenting it is able to articulate what the purpose of the design work is and how this particular design work goes about solving that problem. Whenever you have a person who's presenting well, you have to understand that they started off with some notes. They started off getting their thoughts together and the story together about how they were going to do this, and that comes down to writing. Writing is not always very easy, and it can be intimidating for a lot of people, which is why a lot of people, I think, tend to shy away from it. But I would encourage you to face that fear, to kind of try your hardest, to try something new, different, push your envelope, try to learn a little something more so you can take your writing to the next level. As I said, brand design is all about story, and articulating your story in writing is what's going to move the work forward and through the process many times. I'm jumping through slides because I obviously was talking faster than I was moving my slides as usual, as I usually do. And so by learning how to articulate your work, about your work, you are learning to describe things. You're learning to influence the viewer. You are learning to inspire people. You're bringing people along in your way of thinking. And what we do as designers and creatives is we persuade. We persuade through our work, and we need to persuade through our words, because those two things are inextricably linked. You need to get good at describing your work, describing the strategy behind your work, convincing and influencing people, and inspiring people by your work, inciting action in them. Hopefully, the action will be to say the work is great and they accept the work, but also how you communicate to others, your peers, your coworkers, people in other divisions, about the work, so they are inspired and incited to action as well. And there's the day-to-day, right? So there's the day-to-day of project communication where you have to email back and forth to your manager, to your creative director, to the marketing department, to account management, to finance, about the work, about projects, project management. And unless you can articulate and describe those sorts of things very well and succinctly, you're kind of screwed. Content, you've heard the quote, content is king. Content is king. Content, for the most part, is writing. Content for blogs, content for tweets. I write speaking notes for every single video I do, so I have to write content for my videos. And you need to really learn how to develop content to be creative, to be competitive in today's world. Inbound marketing, there's two kinds of marketing. There's inbound marketing, which is attraction, and then there's promotion, which is advertising. And developing content is inbound marketing. And unless you're going to actually be spending to promote inbound marketing and developing a reputation and drawing people in through your content is the way to go. And it's also a way for you to build your reputation as someone who knows what they're talking about, build your level of credibility. You can do that by publishing a blog, developing a Twitter audience, publishing on LinkedIn, on Medium, starting a YouTube channel, doing a podcast, writing really motivational website copy. If you can develop your chops, your skills as a content creator, you will be more valuable. You'll be more valuable to your clients. And if you're working in an agency or in-house in a company, you are more valuable to that company. And chances are you are more promotable. That's another really key, important aspect of this, is that when you move up the designer chain, the designer food chain, from junior designer, senior designer, art director, or junior design director, senior design director, art director, creative director, executive creative director, VP of design. As you move up that chain, you do less and less designing, number one. And number two, you do more and more writing and more communicating. And so if you want to be promoted, if you want to be recognized and move your way up that salary ladder and that title ladder, learning how to write well is probably the best thing that you can do. And so it's a career advancement insurance, basically. The other thing, so let's talk about getting better at writing. Let's talk about how you're going to force yourself to do it. One of the things that I discovered when I started my YouTube channel and when I started my newsletter is making a commitment, number one, setting a schedule for production, number two, when it comes to developing content. Those two things are the most important thing you can do. Because if you make a commitment, I am going to publish a video every week, I'm going to publish a newsletter every week, a blog every week, whatever that is. If you make that commitment and set that schedule and then set it as a goal and tell somebody else about it, so you are now going to be held accountable for achieving that, deadlines are incredibly motivating. So if you're finding it hard to develop content or to write more, set yourself a deadline, set a schedule, make a commitment, set a deadline, because deadlines are incredibly motivating. Look at people in the news industry, right? For newspapers and news shows, they have to produce content every single day. They have a deadline when the presses have got to start running and the newspapers got to start getting printed, or you're about to go live on the show and they have to do the speaking notes for the presenter. Deadlines are super motivating when it comes to developing content. So if you want to learn and you want to practice more, set yourself some deadlines, set yourself some commitments. And just write. Just start. If I have a second mantra or motto that I try to live my life by, there's two. Dare to suck, which you guys know, and there's just start. You have to start. You have to just write. You have to get feedback. You have to share it with other people, ask them what they think, rinse and repeat, edit, push forward. Just keep doing more and more of it. When I started off my newsletter, it was not that great. I'm going to be honest with you. My first YouTube videos weren't that great. And you got to suck at the beginning. And the more you do it, the better you get. It's the 10,000 hours rule, right? But I tell you, having that deadline for my newsletter every 2 weeks is very motivating, because then on Saturday or Sunday when that deadline is getting close, I got to get down to brass tacks, and I got to come up with some ideas. I have to look. If any of you watched my live the other day, if I keep a spreadsheet of ideas that I keep current and I'm constantly adding to. So I always have a list of ideas to go from, but that deadline is what makes me go forward, right? If you want to learn to write better, there's a number of sources for you. And these are just a few of them. I just grabbed these before I came on. Grammarly is a great way to run your writing through some AI and have it check for grammar and sentence structure and stuff like that. It's super, super helpful. I came across a couple very interesting blogs. One was The Right Life and also Write to Done. Very extensive blog sites with tons of articles on how you can write better. There's also Skillshare, which is like a super affordable option with a $15 a month subscription for access to all their courses. And they have tons of courses on writing, business writing, creative writing, writing for creatives. SkillPath is another site that has business writing courses. These are a little more expensive at $150 to maybe $300, or a couple of the ones I saw. And also LinkedIn. LinkedIn, as you know, absorbed lynda.com, so there's a tremendous amount of applications learning you can do on LinkedIn, but there's also a lot of writing learning that you can do on LinkedIn, linkedinlearning.com or slash, you get it, linkedin.com/learning. Anyway, I just flew on there before I went live and checked out and was, cruising through some of their writing courses, and there's some really, really great stuff on there. So you don't have to do it all by yourself. If you want to get better at writing, take a course, get inspired, read a bunch of blog posts on writing, and then just start doing it, put it out there in the world, ask for feedback from people, and just make a schedule and do it over and over and get better. Practice your business writing, your email writing, your presentation writing, your strategy writing. Just write, because if there is one unicorn skill that will advance your career faster and make it stronger as a creative professional, it is writing. And that is the end. That's the end of my spiel today. It's a quick one, very quick one. But some people have been popping on. I want to say hi to them. Hey, Daniel, great to see you. Roxanne, and Zoom FX. So cool you guys are here. So if anyone has any questions, I will pop my question thing on there. Because I am going live more and more often these days, I'm trying to do it in a little more manageable period of time. My marketing assistant, Joselle, always teases me that I can't go live and do a live for less than an hour, because I'm always running over hour and a half, stuff like that. I just get talking. And so I'm trying to do these quicker, right? And you know me, you've seen my videos. I get in 6 to 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes. I drop a boatload of value very succinctly, and then I get out. I value your time. And I don't like to sit on and blab about nothing for too long. I mean, that is one of the things I like about going live, is that I get to, see chat, and I get to, hear how you guys are talking with each other and answer your questions and give you direct value for what it is that you need from me or would like to get from me. I did want to tell you, and I mentioned this, that one of my lives in the next few days, I'm going to be doing, here, actually, let me pull up this folder and I can tell you specifically some of the things I'm going to be doing. 7 things they don't teach you in design school, which I mentioned. How to build a social media marketing plan, and how to achieve your business goals with social media. I'm going to do a live on website copy that converts, and how you can really redo the copy on your website so it's a really strong customer journey and gets people to do what you want them to do. I'm going to do something on setting goals. I'm going to do something on how you can stay creative. So there's just a few of the topics that I'm going to be talking about going live over the next week, 2 weeks. And then there will be more after that. So Daniel asked a question. What all should be included in writing a brief about the project you're working on? If you're already working on the project, the brief period is kind of done. But a creative brief for a project always comes before the project, where you're describing the project. And so there is, and Daniel, yeah, I know you were in Brand Strategy 101. So the creative brief, the one-page creative brief that I shared in that course, has all of the major components of what you need to have in a creative brief for a project. But generally, you want to talk about what the current environment is that your design or your project is entering into, who it's for, what's the customer avatar, what is the actual action that you want to happen because of this project, what are the aspects of the project that are must-haves around the brand. Is there certain kind of copy or communication that has to be on the project? What does the competitive set look like? So what are the competitors doing within that category that's going to be, in direct competition with the work that you're doing? So I hope that helps a little bit. So Peter asked, can you do something about helping clients understand the difference between cost and value? Yeah, I can. Actually, that was another one that I was going to be doing. I was going to be doing a live on the ROI of strategy, and it's going to be a little bit of an outtake of what I presented when I did my Brand Strategy 101 course, talking about their ROI of strategy. But that also very closely mirrors and patterns after the ROI of design, which is the difference between cost and value. Which is the value being the return on investment that you get for the price that you pay. So yes, I can do something on that, and that reminds me that I will drag that piece out. I had it on a list, but I'll make sure I get to that, Peter. Daniel says, learn the difference between your and your for starters. Yeah, there's like 10. There's a lot of words, but your and your. And there, and there, and there. There's 3 there's. A lot of those where knowing the difference can really be a red flag for people if you don't use them correctly. All right. So, hey, you guys, this has been totally fun. If anyone has another question, one of the things I just want to mention, one of the things I noticed before I, went live was I always do that countdown timer, right? And so I click go live, and I go live on YouTube, and it's basically live, but it's a countdown timer. And then I, take the lens cap off my camera and I start. And then I go back into the video and I edit out that countdown timer on the video, so it's not there. But one of the things that I noticed, which I thought was really interesting today, was that usually YouTube's lag time is like 30 to 40 seconds. It's a long time. And when I was broadcasting today and looking at that countdown timer, the countdown timer on my computer, the countdown timer on YouTube, the delay was like 6 seconds. I was amazed. I'd never seen anything like that before. Maybe it was a mistake, but that was kind of cool. So I'm not sure how much of a lag time there is on there now, but thank you, Peter. There, and there. Peter is a good writer. He writes good. All right. So this has been awesome, you guys. What am I going to do tomorrow? I think what I'm going to do tomorrow, we'll see. I don't know. I'm going to keep it a surprise. I still have to figure it out and do the thumbnail and all that sort of stuff. So keep your antenna up and catch me live tomorrow. So this has been awesome. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you have any ideas for any kind of videos or content that you would like me to do, please shoot me an email. You can contact me through the contact form on my website, and just shoot me that idea. I always welcome ideas from my community for anything that you need help with or want to see a video on, like Peter asked, doing something, the difference between cost and value. We'll definitely do that. Oh, and the last thing I want to add about writing is that, yes, you want to improve your writing skills, but also if you don't have a partner in your business, freelance agency or otherwise, who is a copywriter, find one or a couple. Find a couple copywriters that you really like, because you can learn a lot from copywriters. And also, if you have to write a bunch of copy and you want it to be reviewed or made better, have a partner who's a copywriter. Hire a specialist. It's, there's no shame in that, but the primary focus of this live was to make sure that everyone knew that that unicorn skill for creative professionals is copywriting, because it's important. You use it everywhere, and the better you are at it, the better you're going to be as a creative pro. All right, you guys, this has been awesome. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will most likely see you here tomorrow. So with that, thanks again. I'll see you later.